You ever have one of those days where it feels like your brain is running a dozen different programs at once? You've got news alerts popping up, text you haven't answered, and then you see someone on social media who seems to be living a way better life. It's a total fire hose, right? Well, let's dive into that. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden operating systems running our minds and why they often feel so hopelessly out of date. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures this bizarre paradox of modern life. I mean, we have access to more information in a single day than someone in the 17th century had in their entire life. And yet, with all that knowledge, we feel more stressed out and overwhelmed than ever before. It's a huge sign that our brains and the world we've built are just not on the same page. So what's the deal? Why do we feel so conflicted, so pulled in a million different directions all the time? Well, that feeling of being stuck, it's not a personal failure. Turns out it's actually a hardware problem. Yeah? That internal battle you feel, it is not your fault. See, your brain isn't some sleek, brand new computer. It's way more like an old house that's been awkwardly renovated over millions of years. You've got all these different incompatible systems trying to run at the same time, and it is pure chaos. Okay, so let's break this down because this is the core issue. Right at the bottom, you've got the reptilian brain. It's running on software that's 300 million years old. Its only job is to keep you alive, period. Then, layered on top of that, you have the mammalian brain, and it is obsessed with social connection. Its biggest fear? Getting kicked out of the tribe. And then finally, on top of all that, you have the new kid on the block, the human brain, the storyteller just trying its best to make sense of all the noise coming from downstairs. So when a social media notification pops up, your mammalian brain screams, "Oh no, the tribe might be rejecting me," and your reptilian brain immediately floods you with stress hormones as if you're staring down a saber-toothed tiger. It's wild. So what this really means is we have this ancient, survival-focused hardware trying to process the absolute insanity of 21st century information and social demands. It's like trying to plug an old computer chip from the 80s into a 5G network. It's just not built for it. So is it any wonder our system feels like it's constantly crashing? That it leads to that chronic, low-grade anxiety that so many of us feel every single day? But wait, there's more. It's not just our brain's hardware that's all layered up. The software we're running, the way we actually think, has also changed dramatically over time. These ways of thinking, they aren't some kind of eternal truth. They're just tools. You could call them mental apps that we develop to solve the problems of a specific era. Just take a look at this timeline. For thousands of years, survival was all about ritual, cyclical thinking. You just repeated what worked last season because trying something new could literally kill you. Then, boom, the Enlightenment hits, and we adopt this mechanical linear model. The world is like a giant clock. If you find the right cause, you'll get the right effect. Work hard, get successful. Simple. But now, we're living in the age of system network thinking, where we get that everything is interconnected in these super complex feedback loops. And today, we're moving into this phase of human-AI symbiosis, where we're literally outsourcing parts of our thinking to an external brain. This all brings up a really important question. If these ways of thinking are just these inherited programs we're running, how real are they? Do they just stay up in our heads, or do they actually have a tangible impact on our lives and even our health? And this is where it gets incredibly personal, because the thought models we run aren't abstract at all. They are the software that projects a reality directly onto the screen of our physical body. Think about it like this. If you're using the mechanical thought model, you see the body like it's a car. A symptom is just a broken part, and the solution is to fix or replace that part. This is basically the foundation of modern Western medicine. But what if you use a systemic model, like in traditional Chinese medicine? Well, then you see the body as a garden. A symptom isn't a broken part. It's a sign of an imbalance in the whole ecosystem. The goal isn't to just fix one plant. It's to restore harmony to the entire garden. It's the same body, but you get completely different realities based on the thought model you're using. And what's really wild is that these two models, the machine and the garden, are just the beginning. The source material for this actually outlines 7 distinct keys for understanding our health. These different layers of thought suggest our body is a projection of everything, from our physical mechanics and our energy flows, all the way to the systemic patterns of our family history. It just goes to show how incredibly deep this mind-body connection really is. So this all leads to the most important question of all, right? If we're constantly running these conflicting, buggy, outdated programs, and these programs are literally shaping our physical reality, how do we stop being the puppets and start pulling the strings? How do we actually gain some control over all this? So what's the solution?
Well, the ultimate key isn't a better program or some new thought model. It's the ability to step outside of all of them. The answer is a concept called metacognition. Now, it's a fancy word, but what it really means is simply thinking about your thinking. It's that small but incredibly powerful shift from being completely lost inside a thought or an emotion to just observing it. Instead of being the anxious person, you become the person who is noticing the feeling of anxiety. That simple act of observation creates a tiny bit of space, and in that space lies all of your power.
And that right there is the ultimate takeaway. True freedom isn't about forcing yourself to think positive thoughts or finding the one correct way to see the world. It's about realizing that all of our thoughts, all of these models and programs, they're just tools. You can pick them up and use them when they're helpful. But most importantly, you can choose to put them down when they're not. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that is watching them. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. The next time you feel that internal conflict, that spike of anxiety, that sense of being stuck in a loop, are you going to let the old software just run the show, or are you going to step back, take a breath, and remember that you have the power to be the programmer?